Our next question is by Anonymous. What is your understanding of arvus? If a Jew on the other side of the planet does something wrong, why is that my fault? Why are we all punished together? What happened to the concept of personal responsibility? There definitely is a concept of personal responsibility. Of course. Person does an avera, he's going to get punished. But I want you to think about this for a moment. Rashi says, why was Dinah raped and kidnapped? So she was a Yitzonis. She was going out. What was she going out in a Goyish town, Good, she was going with the girls just to see what was happening, but you put yourself out in the public like that. That's what Dinah did. And then Rashi later says, Yaakov says, Hashem says, go back to Beis El and bring the korbanos that you promised, and, don't forget. And he says, because you delayed, this is what happened to Dinah. So was it Yaakov's fault or was it Dinah's fault? And the answer is, when a tragedy happened, it affects everybody. It affects the person, it affects their parents, it affects the people around them, And, a father dies and it changes the wife's, the children, his brothers, his parents, changes everybody's life all around them, And it's something to really consider, that you have many different contributions. Therefore, Bishral Salanta told the boys who are learning yeshiva, learn stark so that the balabatim in Paris don't intermarry. So they weren't doing kiruv. The answer is, if you are stark enough in your Yiddishkeit, it'll spread to the next town, and the next town, and the next town. And by the time it's France, there'll at least be enough sensitivity that people won't intermarry. So we're responsible for everybody. We have to take into it everyone. Do they have to take responsibility for themselves too? Sure. But if we don't care about other people, I've told this story in the past, so you'll forgive me for repeating. I was once at a youth group, and they were doing values clarifications. Values clarifications, they tell a story, and there's no right or wrong answer. What do you think? And based on what you think, it's supposed to reveal, your value system. Yeah. Okay, here's the story. Romeo loves Juliet, but Romeo is on Crocodile Island, and you can't get across to Crocodile Island except by the ferry. Otherwise, the crocodiles will eat you. And Juliet misses Romeo so much, she doesn't know what to do, and she goes to the boatman. She says, I'll pay you whatever you want. And he has only one thing. He wants Juliet to sleep with him. And she's so torn because she doesn't want to do this, but she wants to get to Romeo, and she's not sure what to do. And she asks wise Ivan. Wise Ivan says, I don't want to get involved. So she feels she has no choice. And she pays the boatman's price, and she goes across. And when she gets to the island, Romeo is so happy to see her. He says, but how did you convince the boatman? And she tells him. And Romeo casts her away. And now after she made this tremendous sacrifice, Romeo is throwing her away. She's broken. She goes to her friend Sluggo in tears, and Sluggo feels so bad for her that he beats up Romeo to an inch of his life. And as the sun sets, Juliet is laughing that Romeo got what was coming to him. The end. The question is, who's the worst person in the story? So everybody was arguing Juliet. Not only did she do this thing and then she wanted to see him beaten up. Some people say Sluggo because, there's never an excuse for violence. Some say Romeo. What everyone else did, they were motivated by desire. He was motivated only by disdain. And yeah. Anyway, when I heard the question, I immediately said, wise Ivan. No, apparently nobody says that. And the guy looked at me and says, wise Ivan? I said, he's the only one who could have prevented this, but he didn't want to get involved. So he says to me, in your value system, there's nothing worse than being able to help somebody and not. That's true. I always look at a situation and say, how could I possibly help this person? And so I always try to make an effort to speak to people and say things. So the Gemara says that when it was time for the Churban, the Kodesh Baruch Hu told the Malach, go put an ice on the head of every tzaddik, so they will be saved from the destruction. And the Malach says, but they didn't give Teichacha. They didn't try to get people to come back to the good. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I know it wouldn't have helped. He says, but they didn't. He says, you're right. Put an ice on their head and they'll be the first to die. Why don't you care? Why don't you care about somebody? I was speaking at a Havdalah at a leadership Shabbaton in California in 1986. And at Havdalah, so I told the following idea. I said, okay, you guys are all the leaders of NCSY, and let's face it, some of you are, Moranos. You keep Shabbos in secret. You don't let anyone in your school know about it. So, fine, you go to your Shabbatonim, you learn, you keep Shabbos, and you manage to avoid letting anyone know. At the end of your life, you get up to Shemayim. And of course, you'll get on the express line, because you guys are big tzaddikim, And as you're going towards your final judgment, you pass a kid who was in your class. And he grabs you by your celestial sleeve. And he says, wait a second, you knew about this? He says, yeah. You knew about Torah and Judaism and God and Olam Haba, and you knew all this stuff? Because, yeah. So all those Friday nights when you said you weren't going to go out with us because you had to study for a test, really you were keeping Shabbos? Because, yeah. So why didn't you ever tell us? I didn't think you would listen. I thought you'd make fun of us. And the kid says, maybe I would have. But maybe I would have listened. Maybe I would have come with you to a Shabbaton. Maybe I would have become frum, and I'd have frum children and frum grandchildren. Maybe I'd be on that line with you. I can't say for sure, but wasn't I worth the chance? At the end, some kid said to me, Rabbi, you played dirty. I said, 100% I do. So that's what arvis means. Arvis means that you may not be able to solve the problem, but try. Say something. Reach out to somebody. So that's the challenge of arvis, where we have to take responsibility. Whether or not we can change it. Lo alechem l'chal ligmar. V'lo ata ben chorin livatel mimenu. V'lo ata ben chorin. Yeah, you have to try. That's called responsibility. So if I can't, I can't. But if we are strong enough and make a strong enough impression, then we can change the world around us. And if we don't, that's what we're held responsible for. Until next time, I am Dovid Orlofsky, and this has been the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.
It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Knowledge and wisdom will help you grow. Lots of fun in every episode, and we don't have to rhyme. No, we don't. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show on RabbiOrlofsky.com. Torah anytime, YouTube and more. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Till next time, till we meet again. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.